This episode's brought to you by Linode. We've got a coupon. You can sign up for Linode and basically have free service for a little while. They got to make sure you're legit and not a bot, though. So you got to give them some information. But you can spin up a machine for Rust or Go or your own self-hosted WireGuard VPN or Amazon-like block storage. Yeah, it turns out S3, really expensive. All the Amazon services are crazy expensive. Even Netlify is expensive. You can DIY it and you can do it better on Linode. And you can set it up for free and learn.
Develop some remote employment skills.
Yeah.
They might be in demand.
Yeah, it turns out that it's never been easier. Like if you work as any kind of developer, it has never been easier to get a job, mostly, because everybody has to work remote at this point. So...
Hello. Today is February 5th, and today we're doing social and nonsense.
Started out with social, and this is not about a social media company, but instead someone who is having a bit of a row with the social media companies. You think he's a little biased?
I think this is all just for the media. I think he's doing this for attention and no other reason.
Well, he's doing it to discredit his enemies, I think.
Yeah. Reuters has this amazing article. Apple's Tim Cook criticizes social media practices intensifying Facebook conflict. Basically, it's really, he's calling out Facebook, but he's really calling out products that you don't pay for, which is an interesting strategy. It's like, you're not paying for use of the internet and everything else. Therefore, X, Y, Z bad things.
Doesn't it feel a little disingenuous, though, because this is basically like saying Americans are spending too much time at shopping malls. It's destroying the country. They're wasting all their money. Shopping malls are terrible. And the person telling you that is the guy who built the road to the shopping mall.
Yeah. Because
the iPhone has opened up social media to the masses like no other device, right?
Right.
Weird.
You have to pay him. And he wants a cut.
He wants 30%.
That's his problem.
Yeah.
And the other side is not quiet during all of this. They're both firing shots over the bow.
Facebook is prepping an antitrust lawsuit against Apple. Now, so I had this is not a bad article, but the problem that I had with this is that it doesn't look at what's going on with the whole Apple versus Epic antitrust lawsuit, because Facebook is basically copy-pasting from Epic's playbook.
Now, they have not confirmed that they are going to file this lawsuit. They've just let it be known that they have some top lawyers working on it right now.
They have some ideas about that.
I think they have more than an idea. I think it's probably pretty much ready to put the stamp on and put in the mailbox.
Well, I mean, okay, like computers are involved, sure. But if we take computers out and phones out, if a company, like if you have a business transaction with one company and you want to make a business transaction with another company, and the first company gets wind of that and interferes with it, historically, that has been a Sherman antitrust violation. Like you can't, it's torturous interference. You can't, like that's anti-competitive, but even when it's not necessarily anti-competitive, it still runs afoul of like interstate commerce laws. And this seems like that, but with computers and online. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it shapes up.
And I'm sure it will take years to do so.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't really understand it, but it just seems like that if we weren't talking about computers here, we were talking about paper contracts and paper deals, that this would be a different situation.
Well, let's think back to 2019, the salad years, the times when we didn't have to worry so much about everything killing us.
Before the end times.
And during that time, we saw a lot of the big tech giants, especially Mr. Zuckerberg, go and speak in front of our lawmakers. And aside from pretty much confirming that he is definitely a robot, one thing we learned is that he would do anything to give a straight answer. The answer was almost always, Madam, I would enjoy getting you that information. Perhaps I could contact your office after the hearing. Maybe we could follow up. And they were like, no, answer the question. Well, I'm not really sure. I'd love to follow up. Never give them a real answer, because the real answer is damning. And it turns out that's not just when you're in front of a group of lawmakers. It's anytime you make a deal with anything to do with the government, hide as much as you can.
Facebook's secret settlement on Cambridge Analytica gags the UK data watchdog. The quote in here from them is hilarious. So, yeah, it's like it's part of an agreement that we struck with Facebook, she told the committee, in terms of our litigation against Facebook. So there is an agreement that's not in the public domain, and that's why I would prefer to discuss this in private. What?
Now, you might think, why did these stupid lawmakers not press her further on this? They did. And she would not give it up. She was like, I can't tell you. Privately, I'll go with you right now and tell you. But on this microphone, I'm not going to do it. What could it be?
It's probably something really horrifying. Like, you know, we figured out that this many MPs were lizard people from the Andromeda system or something just crazy like that.
What a crazy secret for that one woman to keep.
Yeah.
Facebook also, during the big Capitol riots and all that and the election, you know, they took
that
a lot
feels like 6 months ago already.
Yeah, we already had the next big event already. It's like, oh no, now we're in the stock market. We're not worried about that. But during all of that, they made some pretty extreme decisions about stifling the speech of the sitting president at the time. That was unprecedented. And a lot of people said, hey, you don't have the right to do this. And they were like, well, maybe we do, maybe we don't. We'll decide.
Facebook is referring the Trump ban to his Supreme Court, which cannot be overruled by Zuckerberg or executives. So this is like the people that decide, is he banned or not? And it's out of business, it's out of executive hands. Remember, this was the fix last year for dealing with some of the whole, like, I don't know, should we ban speech? Should we not ban speech? I don't know.
There's going to be a 90-day time for comments, for public comments. And then after that, they're going to decide, but then they have time after that to decide. So for the next 4 to 5 months, I think it just stays in place, right?
Do you think that the comments are going to be split 50-50, right? Like there's no...
No, it's going to be like the net neutrality. One side is going to send in bots, or maybe both of them. It depends on who's better at bots. And speaking of the Capitol riots, when that happened, a lot of people blamed social media. They're like, hey, these people are basically using your service to plan attacks on our government. And Facebook said, you know, we looked into this. And actually what we discovered is they were using every other social media platform, but not ours. They definitely didn't use ours. And it's been looked into a little bit more closely at this point.
NBC News has the article that some pro-Trump extremists use Facebook to plan the Capitol attack, according to this report. So this
Doesn't surprise anybody, really.
Well, this is good and bad, though, because, like, wouldn't it be better that they were planning it on here than, say, Signal? Because this will leave a forensic trail, whereas Signal, not so much.
Yeah. So, this has their quotes, and they're basically just saying, like, no, it wasn't from us. It was from other social media sites. And then they point out, like, 5 different groups who they have smoking gun not only found them planning, but then had pictures of them at the riot. So, definitely. To answer your question, I would far, far, far prefer if I had to fight a group of insurgents, I would way rather fight the Facebook insurgents than the Signal insurgents.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working law enforcement and you got to figure out who the bad guys are, would you rather deal with the people that are using Signal or the people on Facebook? I mean...
I figured the people on Facebook, I could probably Jedi mind trick like 6 of them, you know, just turn them onto my side. Talking about a low class of people here.
Just use their profiles against them.
Yeah. Distract them with phishing links and stuff like that because you know they're going to fall for it.
Farmville. Is that still relevant in 2021?
Does it still exist? I don't know.
I don't know either.
You know what? Another thing I don't know about is TikTok. I'm still not hip to it.
You know, guys, while we're here, you know, before we head over to the Capitol, why don't we check out Overflow? I've heard that it's really amazing.
I don't know what that is. What is it?
It's a museum. It's an aerospace museum. It's really awesome.
Though it was cracking me up because I can't remember who I was talking to, but we were talking about it's like after they attacked the Capitol, they apparently went to some of the other notable places.
I went to a Denny's.
And it was like, no, the other places in the Capitol.
Oh.
because just to see them. And I was like, what if they just wanted to tour the Capitol the whole time? And it was shut down because of the
That was all
pandemic.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like our friends got a private tour yesterday. Why can't we get one today? What makes today different than yesterday?
It was never about, Trump. It was just they wanted to see their nation's capital.
I'm getting an
They
idea
didn't
for
go
a
on
new.
their 8th grade field trip.
I'm getting an idea for a new Mr. Bean movie. Mr. Bean accidentally set up his tour of the Capitol for the same day, and it's just like
Keeps getting shot.
He gets swept up in all this madness and doesn't know what's going on.
But anyway, TikTok, it's popular with the kids, I guess. And it seems like a lot of people are trying to emulate that success. We're getting a real glut of TikTok clones.
2 of TikTok's competitors are merging, and I've forgotten what they are. They're so memorable.
I've never heard of any of these.
No, it's Clash and Byte, and I was like, who the hell is that?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they were short form video app launched by the co-founder of Vine. That was probably its best shot at success.
I don't
Do you remember
understand. What does one short video hosting service offer that another doesn't?
All your friends are on it, so when you post your funny dance video, they can all see and like it.
How do they deal with, isn't the lip syncing to copyright music? How do they deal with that?
I think it's
If I
because
just don't.
that was one of the reasons why everything was so short.
Oh, okay. How many seconds can you get away with?
Well, technically it's 0, but
That's on YouTube though, right?
well, I mean, it's subjective. So it's not hard and fast, but 15 or 30 seconds is just,
Well, TikTok, if you'll remember, because of the conflicts going on between China and India decided they didn't want anything to do with TikTok anymore. But here's the thing that I didn't know at the time, and this is a rough way to find out about it. TikTok had an office in India, and they had 2,000 employees.
ByteDance is cutting jobs in India amid prolonged TikTok ban. So it was getting kind of popular in India, and then it was like, ooh, this looks kind of dangerous. Let's just go ahead and block that.
So the vast majority of those people are going home. Only the people like the skeleton crew to keep the building going and keep the servers running is all they're keeping. So that really sucks if you work for TikTok India. And that's exactly the kind of thing the Chinese Communist Party was hoping for when they did that. YouTube, like Facebook, decided on January 12th to take the ultimate step and to block the account of a sitting president. He's not allowed to post any videos. Now, they did say, we're going to rethink this. We're going to let this cool down for a little while, and we're going to revisit this. And they keep revisiting it and making the same decision.
YouTube extends Trump's suspension for a second time. The Google One platform first suspended Trump on January 12th. They're like, we're not going to make it permanent yet, but yeah, it's not a good time.
I never checked out his YouTube channel. I guess it was all just like speeches and stuff.
I don't know. I didn't want to mess up the algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that recommendation. Trump should just like start a cooking channel or something.
That would be kind of funny.
Just blow everybody's mind.
These are the best.
Do you think he's
days.
ever cooked before? Isn't he kind of notorious for like not being particularly healthy
because
eater?
his family was rich, weren't they?
Like I thought he was super into fast food, but maybe that's just a meme.
Well, you can't eat that every meal, I don't think, and live. Well, that's a good question. But if he's a
I don't
terrible
know.
cook, wouldn't that make you more likely to watch it? Just watch Trump just cursing and fumbling through burning himself, his hair all in disarray, covered in flour.
Who doesn't know like what's a whisk? What the hell is a whisk?
That would be fantastic. I would love
I
that.
would watch that.
Yeah. And he keeps like getting the cook who normally operates in his $1 billion kitchen and like scolding her for where things are stored.
I wonder how much Alec Baldwin would charge us for a couple of just a couple of YouTube videos. We could script
I'm
it.
just doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the same. I need the real Donald Trump.
Or maybe he's like, and the final video in that series is like he finally makes something and it's really, really good, like awesome gourmet, like beautiful. And at the very end of it, he puts a flower on it, and then he grabs a bottle of ketchup and just all over it.
Or it would be great if, he made it and there's it's like a big lasagna or something, family size, and Melania and the kids, and they're like, oh, can we try it? And he's just like, no.
No.
I made this. I cannot get my head around a newsletter startup.
That's kind of the new hotness.
Isn't it?
It is.
Why are we not doing it? There is no value to a newsletter startup. Zero. Except there is, and it's a high value, but it's not real. Come on.
Twitter acquires newsletter startup Revue. Now I don't understand Revue, but there was the other one that they talk about in this article. It was like Byte Stack, or I don't remember. But the
Such weird names.
The platform there is really like a social platform for editors and journalists. So the idea is that you build credibility for yourself as a journalist with this other site. And so Revue or whatever seems to be kind of like that. Like they want to build a site like Twitter, but it's only for credentialed journalists or whatever.
Who decides? Twitter?
The site. Revue the site, yeah.
Well, that's not the only thing that Twitter is going to be deciding. Twitter is obviously, if they internally judge what can and cannot be shown on Twitter, which they have done time and time again, they catch a lot of flack for that. So they said, you know what, let's create a new thing, a new forum, and let's call it something really catchy like brown shirts. I mean, Birdwatch.
Twitter launches Birdwatch, a forum to combat misinformation. Twitter said it hopes to build a community of birdwatchers that can eventually help moderate and label tweets in its main product. Now, the article doesn't mention this, but look very carefully at the screenshots. Eventually, when somebody posts a tweet about something, you might have this sort of meta moderation where it's like, this was helpful, or this was not helpful, or this is wrong, or this is whatever. And so tweets sort of end up being labeled by the community with respect to how much misinformation it is, or misunderstanding, or if the person is just being a troll. They sort of see this as a way to combat not really stupid people, although that's sort of a knock-on effect. It's really to try to combat the bots and the trolls.
Now, obviously, the first question that should come to your mind is, who gets to be a brown shirt? And the answer they claim in this article is it's first come, first serve, and there will be no consideration about how many followers you have or what kind of...
But you do have to prove you're a real person.
You got to do the email and the phone number. But other than that... So then that creates a situation where we have sort of like these vigilante fact checkers just swarming all over Twitter.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, that's going to be a nightmare. Remember the Scottish Wikipedia?
Oh yeah, it's just one guy.
Yeah, it'll be like that.
And it was all fake. It was just like, I want to help, but I have no abilities.
I'm just thinking about like the worst blue hair elderly people that I've known in my lifetime, but adding a little bit of computer savvy to them, and they'll be all about this in their retirement.
I would rather have elderly blue hair than the other kind of blue hair.
What a name too, Birdwatch. I bet someone like an old people group that watches birds, they have an app or something called Birdwatch, and they were really excited about it, and then they see Twitter does this, and you're like, damn it.
If you're the Autobahn Society, do you sue? Because people are going to get confused and download that app instead of yours?
Yeah.
Well, here's a headline that shouldn't really shock anybody.
Social media damages teenagers' mental health, report says. I was going to substitute mental health with the brain there, but then I thought that was maybe too mean. This is a BBC article, and it talks about how teenagers really obsess over what's going on social media, and social media algorithms are designed to really kind of mess with your head a little bit in the first place. It makes sort of a dangerous combination.
It's interesting because puberty plays such a huge part in this. They say that up until 14, boys and girls tend to suffer equally from social media, but after the age of 14, girls really take it hard. And they reported that a huge percentage of them started having body image issues at 14. And they assume that has to do with looking at all the Instagram hotties.
I would assume so too, especially because almost all of those images are photoshopped in some way or face tuned. So it's like, I have pores, am I wrong? It's like, no, that's how your skin breathes. Like, everyone has that. You just don't see it in photos.
You know, they say that social media makes you miserable, but I don't use social media, and I'm miserable. Are they really more miserable than me?
I'll just spam things.
Maybe you're just really good at misery. Maybe everyone needs to get on your level.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I could teach them something about it. I remember my number. Do you remember yours?
I do.
1724997.
Somebody is doxing you now because that data is public. They're going to find your email address and everything.
That wouldn't be the one I use now.
Okay, that's good.
It's nothing real.
I had a 5-digit number, and I lost it. Like something happened, and I couldn't reset the password. And my replacement number was a 6-digit number, and I was so pissed.
So you saying I could get in here and recover my account?
Yeah.
I should check that out.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder, all those contacts.
Yeah.
Are they still there?
They're there.
Anyway, WhatsApp, of course, you remember that everybody hates WhatsApp. And they're sort of like, we must find other opportunities, other services. The mass exodus must continue. This is probably not the right choice.
Nope. Dropping WhatsApp, nostalgia drives users to ICQ. So this is a really old messaging platform way back in the day. I used to use Talk, but not everybody had to walk my Windows friends through using WinTalk. It wasn't great, but
later on they had the universal chat programs.
Yeah,
I'd switch over to those.
IRC was kind of fun, but also kind of meh. That's
what was that, like 94, 93?
Yeah, it's just somewhere through there.
Yeah, so this is before my time.
I didn't go as far as like trying to re-sign into the account or whatever, but I did find the website where you could like look it up, and I looked myself up, and it's like all my stuff's still there. But I didn't go as far as like actually trying to sign in or anything.
It's weird. It's weird to think that was, like half a lifetime ago. More than half a lifetime ago.
What were we talking about? Social media causing depression and mental health problems.
I was so much happier during the ICQ days.
Yeah.
You have to deal with a lot of bots.
There's a lot of bots.
A lot of bots. Yeah. Well, moving on to nonsense, and this is not a nonsense story. I want to apologize. This is not something you want to joke about, except you got to joke about
funny
it,
word.
right? Because this sounds terrible. I guess I would do this, but it'd sure be unpleasant.
China starts using an album cover swab to test high-risk people for COVID.
It's apparently more effective.
I guess they've been saying that all along, though, right? They were saying like sewage plants were detecting COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, I said the word.
Yeah, don't say that.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta. It's like
Video.
I honestly don't know if this is better or worse than tickling your brain with a Q-tip. I mean,
what if it's they do one of those pop-up quick result sites before you get into the concert? You just have to like back yourself into the curtain. And speaking of that area of the body, but not really, this just happens to be an acronym that Google, in all its glory, and by that I mean the AI, decided wasn't okay.
Google Play bans video app for the standard .ASNS subtitle support. The advanced substation alpha files. It said that this has been banned for profanity from the Play Store because it was the algorithm. There's no, it wasn't any dealing with that because of course, Google, of course.
Do you feel like, based on this screenshot, somebody just asked this Terminator to smile, but he's like smiling really awkwardly because it's not a genuine smile? It's not touching his eyes.
His cold, dead eyes.
We talk a lot about meatless products in the nonsense section. I'm just fascinated by where we're going with this whole meatless revolution. And now it's not a new name, certainly, but a big name is partnering up, and they're saying they're going to just flood us with meatless snacks in the coming year. Just you can't wait for it. It's going to be so much meat.
Also, you're not going to be able to afford meat. That's the subtitle.
Speaking of that, before we do the headline, this is a cicada year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The spring, we will be awash in free protein.
They're so loud.
And apparently PepsiCo is going to take advantage of that. PepsiCo and Beyond Meat launch a poorly named joint venture for new plant-based food and drinks.
Is the icon a cow wearing a cape?
Yes. That is what that is supposed to be, I think.
Wow.
Because it's Captain Cow Planet?
But there's no cow in this food.
There is Planet, though. That's the name.
That doesn't make any sense.
So they say they're gonna Planet Partnership is the name of this thing, but like they spell it like SpongeBob.
Captain Planet.
Based on what we know about marketing teams, how many angry phone calls and emails are companies going to get because they capitalize the E?
A lot.
It's like, you never capitalize the E.
Yeah, that was on our branding guide. Did you not see that on page 7 of the branding guide? I can send you another copy of the branding guide.
So yeah, look forward to that, I guess. More fake meats. In China, they maybe have a little bit different taste in television than we do. I don't know if this would fly here, and this is only 2 episodes, but hey, they're doing it.
Genius programmers star in Gameshow. And if you're not really feeling the imposter syndrome this week, I would encourage you to watch these videos.
If you want to feel a little worse about yourself.
I don't think they've got anything. They can't even hold a candle to the Devember entries.
Yeah, the Devember entries are really pretty good.
Unless they actually finish the project.
There's a couple of streams that are archived of Notch, Minecraft developer, doing development, and it really is mind-blowing. Like, he doesn't need documentation or anything, and it's just, if you want to feel really terrible about your programming skills, watch him program.
Yeah, but then I can feel better because I can actually communicate with other humans without making them hate me.
But then you remember his billions of dollars.
Yeah, I would trade
But
it.
remember yesterday, you messaged me and you're like, I had to get on a e-conference, like online call thing, and I came on there and I was the only asshole with a webcam, and I was like, no.
All right. Remember the first time we did a call with them?
Yeah, it was literally everybody.
Everybody else had a camera but me. So I was like, all right, I'll turn the camera on. And then it's like everybody else turned their camera off.
No one, here's the pro business tip, chat. When you're doing some sort of conference call like that, you always go in with your camera off, because you got to like feel the temperature of the water. And then if a lot of people have theirs on, you turn it on.
But if nobody else does, and then you turn yours on later, is that a power play?
I think
it makes me uncomfortable because I feel like a person can see me.
Here's what you do. You go in with no camera, and then about 30 seconds in, boom, camera. And if anybody else turns their camera on after that, you control them.
This person's easily manipulated. Make a note.
I feel like if they ever remake the American Psycho movie, that's going to be some of the dialogue instead of like the business card stock. It's going to be like the protocol for Zoom meetings.
Those guys, they had to figure out something to do with wildlife, like mapping endangered wildlife and trying to keep them safe with an algorithm. So those 2 days were the subject of that TV show. I don't know if anybody actually killed it or not, but we'll see. One thing that I didn't even bother adding. Oh, maybe did we add a story? I think we added a story before it actually happened.
Yes.
But last week, Flash officially died. I think Mozilla was the last one holding out.
Yep.
Right?
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
And they brought it in. But for those of you who don't remember, a lot of the world, including what you're looking at right now, used to run on Flash. A lot of the world. Sometimes parts of the world that should never, never have run on Flash.
When Adobe stopped Flash content from running, it also stopped a Chinese railroad. So it turns out the front end for the Chinese railroad management system was written in Flash. And sure enough, at the appointed time, everything stopped working. Fortunately, they had a computer that had been unplugged or whatever and had an old version of the Flash player. So they were able to replace the DLL and get it working again.
They had to get a pirate version.
Oh.
So now, not only are they running Flash to operate a giant train, they're running an old pirated version.
That definitely doesn't contain malware.
And yeah, definitely don't worry about the people's lives that you're literally holding in your hands by running your train stuff on that.
It's impressive, though, how quickly they got that back up.
Yeah. Well, it was the better part of... I'm sure it was not impressive to the people who were trapped in the train station.
Yeah.
If you have cameras in your home, cameras in the home I kind of understand. But cameras in the bedroom or any part of the home where you might be nude, what are you thinking? Because... yeah, okay, it might be really secure. There might be really good encryption, and you might have a professional on the other end monitoring it. But guess what? They're not always that professional.
a home security worker hacked into surveillance systems to watch people have sex. And by hacked, it's just really guessing the passwords and, leaving.
No, he was the installer.
Leaving an account, for the.
He would add his email to their live account that would allow them to look at their cameras at any time.
Wow.
And he admitted that. How did he choose his victims? Well, he was an installer as well. So when he showed up at the house, there was a good-looking girl there.
Oh.
He would add his email address, and it was purely for gratification purposes.
Ugh.
Yuck.
Yeah. He's looking at some time, and Telesforo Aviles, I guess is how you pronounce that. We won't be seeing him for a while. The electric car, one of the interesting things about it is I think we'll probably, don't you think we'll get to a point with the electric car where the body is basically interchangeable?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, we could do that with internal combustion cars, but they don't.
Like the old Back to the Future movie, it's like, I'll hover convert your car. I think we'll get to a point where you get an electric conversion kit and they just replace like the wheels and a couple other things and it's fly-by-wire.
Yeah. So not surprising, although I wonder if, do you think the nostalgia for this is still fresh enough, or have we exceeded the nostalgia horizon for this particular item?
No, I think this will probably be one of the first ones. I bet you that somebody does an electric conversion of this vehicle and that becomes kind of a popular like subgenre. It's like, oh look, I've got a 67 Bel Air convertible that I've converted to electric, something crazy like that.
What if you could get a late 80s Trans Am electric?
Oh, that would be a lot of fun. The DeLorean might be coming back as an electric car, although strictly speaking that was a hydrogen fuel cell kind of a thing, I think, because there were like hydrogen turbines and stuff from the 80s. So the DeLorean might be making a comeback. This is not gonna, like, this is like one memo that was leaked and it was like, hey, we could do this as an electric, and it's just like, okay. And it was turned into a story. This is kind of a nothing burger right now.
Well, it's the nonsense section.
Yeah.
You lower your
Your
skepticism. Yeah. You gotta suspend disbelief. And these two people were not willing to suspend disbelief. I don't know what made them suspect this, and I don't know if what they're saying is true. But if it is, it's shocking.
Subway's tuna does not contain tuna, a lawsuit claims, saying the ingredients were not tuna and not fish. Subway's tuna isn't actually tuna. In fact, it might not even be fish, two people claim in a federal lawsuit filed recently. We'll see. We'll see how that works out.
So they claim... I'm sorry, Krista.
No, I read the story elsewhere, and I just don't understand the not fish part. Like, what is it if it's not fish?
I think they're insinuating that it's one of those like Beyond Meat kind of things. Like they've figured out a blend of non-meat items.
A little bit of chicken and a little bit of protein, some mayo, and it's kind of like fish.
I guess that would be considerably cheaper than tuna, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Anyway, they claim that they took this to 2 separate labs and had it tested without telling them what it was. And it came back not tuna or fish. Subway has obviously answered this, claim and said that it's completely false. And their tuna is 100% tuna, except for the mayonnaise that they add.
Wonder if their supplier figured it out. It was lab-grown tuna the whole time.
It's just making me want a tuna sandwich.
Technically, not tuna and not fish could be dolphin.
Oh.
It's probably going to be something dark like that.
Are you still playing Cyberpunk?
I haven't had any chance to play it since Friday.
I have not turned it on in a long time.
There's 2 patches now. There was the big patch, and then there's a patch to the other patch, because that patch had some problems.
I don't know. It's hard to get excited about it when I have all these indie games in my Steam library. But there is one new feature that might bring you back. I'm not too interested in this one.
Cyberpunk developers ask players to please stop having sex with Keanu Reeves. So it turns out there was a mod that allowed that. Although I don't know how that would work because he doesn't technically exist. You just sort of see him, but he's not really there. Nobody else can see him.
Listen, you can have mods that turn your followers in Skyrim into anime schoolgirls. Anything is possible with mods, and that's the joy.
Well, there's the, what do they call them? Joy toys or something like that in the game?
Yeah.
The prostitutes. And there's male and female. So all they did was take the male prostitute skin, pop the Keanu skin onto it, and you could still go through the animations.
But they ask, it's like, please don't do that. I'm sure Keanu Reeves is looking at this like, what have I done?
You probably don't get any voice lines.
No. I don't know what they expected. Like, when they came to Keanu Reeves with this role and they were like, we want to model you for a video game, like, surely that had to come up at some point. Like, hey, people tend to mod these games and they may do things with your model that you're not comfortable with.
I think it's weird, yes, but I like to think that I would just be flattered by that.
I think he probably would be. And they're kind of like, oh, it's funny. Don't do it.
I mean, I would feel weird about it, but I also would know ahead of time, like, that's a risk you take for this kind of thing. Like, there's a virtual version of yourself that you don't control.
Are you going to keep that same mentality, Krista, when the deep fakes roll out?
I know. I feel uncomfortable about that, too.
Yeah. It's kind of the same thing. Not really, I guess.
Not really, because in that case, you're not really consenting to having a deep fake made.
Well, he technically wasn't either.
I mean, he was consenting to have... I guess he wasn't consenting to have the sexual parts done. Yeah.
Well, you're consenting to putting your face out there right now, and that's all they need.
I know, and I don't like that. I think about that all the time, actually, that there's, like, tons of footage of all three of us all over the internet.
The AOC deepfakes are amazing at this point. They're really getting good at them.
Because there's so much raw source footage.
And she's pretty enough to match what they're putting her on. Like, it looks real. You can't do that with Pelosi.
I mean, that's the dissatisfying thing about replaying through Cyberpunk 2 is that it's not a lot different. Like, you make all kinds of different choices, and it's just like, it's basically the same.
Yeah, well. Turns out, you know what else that's true for? Stock market.
It was rigged all along.
You never could win. I love animal stories. I always throw animal stories into the nonsense, and an uplifting animal story is better than a sad animal story. This one's kind of in between.
Yeah.
Leeds ferret survives 100 minutes in the washing machine. So he snuck into the washing machine, apparently. And he was hurt pretty bad. He had a collapsed lung and some other stuff. They didn't think he was going to make it, but he made it.
I would feel so bad if that was my ferret.
I guess ferrets don't make a lot of noise.
Not really, no.
I'm pretty sure if one of my cats was in the washing machine, I would know.
They would be bellowing at the top of their lungs.
I would think when you put it on, you would hear it, because it would be a different sound than just your clothes going around.
That has to be terrifying, though, if you're that ferret. Because think about the cycles, right? The water starts to rise. And you're like, oh, what's going on? Then the soap shows up. And that's a whole different hell. And then you start spinning. And then during the rinse cycle, you're like, oh, God, it's over. And it does it again. Poor little guy. I hope that they make the rest of his life very comfortable. Stack Overflow.
Do you think he's talking to his brother, too? It said that he has a brother that he's, recovering with. Do you think he, talks about it to him?
His brother probably doesn't believe any of it, right?
They put me in this box and it filled with water. They give us treats.
You promised you'd stop the drugs, Bill. Stack Overflow was hacked in 2019, and they didn't get too much stuff. They got some of the source code and stuff like that. But it's funny because we found out an interesting detail about that hack.
Stack Overflow. The guide for that, it was advice from none other than Stack Overflow.
Do you think he went back and upvoted the top comment and marked it as correct?
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm having this kind of a, what do you think? And then it's like, oh yeah, here's some help. It's like, you should probably try this. It's like, oh, that worked.
He just put a comment that was like, thanks, I figured it out. And then we never know what his solution was.
Krista, one thing that I know that you sort of obsess about, because you constantly mention it anytime this topic is brought up, is whether or not you smell like cheese.
Oh yeah, I think this is interesting. I've heard that white people smell like cheese, and I don't know if that's true, but I find it interesting to think about.
How many American dollars would you pay to find out how much you smell like cheese?
Maybe like 10, 20 bucks.
It's going to cost you $150.
Oh, that's too much. I don't care that much, but I would be interested. Okay, sorry, am I reading the title? Japanese entrepreneur finds a niche offering scientific, if brutal, body odor analysis. That's something. Look how smug he looks.
I feel like I'm doing as much as I humanly can to counteract my smell. I'm not sure what I would add to my routine if I got a really bad report here. I would just be more paranoid.
A daily, just put a little splash of bleach on the sponge. Just,
That'd probably just dry out your skin and make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And regular deodorant is already so drying.
This guy is the guy that figured it out. He looks young.
Well, it's that makes it sound like that, somebody's smelling you and telling you. No, he's using a gas chromatograph to tell you exactly what you smell like.
This is, although, translating the numbers to actual smell, there would have to be a big data set for that, don't you think?
No, well, they already have that data set because it's used for forensics and other stuff. It's like, there's a weird smell in here. What is it? It's like, I don't know. It's like, oh, it turns out it's this kind of octane. The criminal worked at a, petrol refinery plant.
So they point out diacetyl is old person smell. Old people do have a smell.
They do,
Yeah.
Well, that's something to look forward to, isn't it?
It says, toward the end of the article, it says women in their 30s and 40s are its main clientele.
Oh, Krista.
That could be
me. What
if
you're developing a funk right now?
I might be. For most of my adult clients, their anxiety begins in school and dogs them throughout their lives. I don't know.
I have a feeling this is going to be like one of those things where it's like, I'm not a crazy person. I was tested. It's like, I don't smell bad. I was tested.
Yeah, and just because it says, you smell okay then, what, just doesn't mean your deodorant hasn't worn off now. Maybe just slack a little bit more on.
Oh, I imagine
that to reapply.
You got to go in there with nothing on, right? You're getting the raw smell.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's your smell profile? It's going to be like a hexadecimal, and that goes on your dating profile.
I was going to say, because there's the whole pheromone smell thing too. Do you think they could do a dating service eventually?
That would be fun. Well, back to the Capitol attack. This is a very interesting thing because a lot of people have sort of thrown it out there. It's like, we're pretty sure that there are agent provocateurs in this crowd. These are people who are definitely working with the government, and they're trying to make things worse and stir this up so that they can create new laws. And then we learn this.
Reuters had this. Reuters. Just pay attention to that for a second. The Proud Boys leader was a prolific informer for law enforcement. And I was like, sensationalist headline, right? No, go read the article. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible.
For the better part of 10 years, he has been setting up narcotics busts, doing undercover buys and sells, and ratting. He is a huge rat, a massive rat. I wonder would the other Proud Boys be okay with that?
We're about to find out.
In the transcript about this, he said, I don't recall any of this. So he seems to think that they would not be okay with it, I assume.
I imagine they would not, yes. I don't think that crowd is a big fan of... although it is weird because that right-wing thing is that's one of the things that... I don't consider myself right-wing. I know most of you in the comments do. But one of the things that drives me crazy about the right-wing is how much they just fillet law enforcement with everything that they say. Why?
Yeah.
What about any of this makes you think they're on your side?
I don't know that we'll see that as much from the right wing anymore after the riot
thing, I guess.
I don't know. People's memories are pretty short.
Yeah.
Gameshow.
I did not read the last stories. I had to do a conference call. I forgot to read the last stories. I don't even know what this one's about.
Anti-Putin Snowman protest leads to Russian activists' detention. So there's a law that says that you can't get together, a protest. The snowmen were treated as getting together for a protest, like they were real people. So this protester put it outside of their house, and they were arrested on a law that has to do with, congregation of protesters.
Snowmen being the protesters.
Yeah.
Where was the? It was another one of those ex-Soviet states where the guy had the snowman that got arrested for that one.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Where that was.
Biden even told Putin on their call that he should release Navalny. I don't know how to say his name. The guy that they tried to poison, but he survived, but they arrested him on something else. Biden was like, no, you need to release him immediately. Even the EU Supreme Court has called for him to be released.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be released.
Probably not.
Apparently one of these signs says down with the Tsar. I'm like, would that upset Putin? Because wasn't the whole thing, that they don't want a Tsar anymore?
It's amazing to me how thin the skins of these despots is. Like Jinping, he can't handle Winnie the Pooh.
I mean, if people compared me to Winnie the Pooh, it would be kind of flattering.
That's kind of like a compliment in some ways,
Yeah.
I would think, because you're cuddly, you're kind, like
I would
live in a forest.
I would love to have Pooh's outlook on life. I mean,
I would say that when it comes to your relationship with food, you and Pooh are right on the same level. I will say though, I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but your actions in the past week in your personal life, I mean, Jesus Christ, you're basically a saint at this point. I don't like. I'm pretty sure that there's you've got your compulsions, and I think that's one of them. But at this point, I'm so impressed by it. If you ever need that, I'm going to do it for you, just because I feel like the world owes you something.
It's fine. It's really not any.
People don't know how kind you actually are, Wendell. They might have an inkling, but they don't really know.
It's just basic human decency. Now, I don't expect other human beings to do it, but
dude, just go to the nursing home right now and see what other people do in that situation.
I'm juggling that too, and it's just the both of them at the same time is a little challenging. So I don't know. It's fine. I appreciate that, but it's I don't know. It wouldn't get done if I didn't do it, so it's got to be done.
But in most cases, it doesn't get done.
In most cases, it does not get done, and I would prefer not to know about that.
Engagement challenge chat. Put comments about nice things Wendell has said or done over the years.
No, don't do that.
Put a comment about what you think we're talking about.
Also good. Yeah, both of those prompts.
And our final story. As we emerge into 2021, the movie industry, they're kind of at a position where they're either going to have to open back up or just go out of business, right? Although I think, AMC,
they got
new funding.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden,
yeah.
lenders were willing to give them a lot of money. So they say they're good till fall. But they are thinking about some of these movies they've had in the can for a long time. They're like, okay, let's finally roll these out. But there's an interesting problem when you have a movie from last year because technology moves really fast.
James Bond film, No Time to Die, further delayed to reshoot Nokia product placements. So they've got some clips here. These are last year's phones. Like Nokia paid for product placement. They don't care about last year's phone. They're not even making last year's phone. So, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you think he'll look like a year older?
I mean, he's definitely shown his age, but he still looks pretty good.
But I'm thinking for the reshoots, will there be a very obvious change, I wonder?
No, they'll fix it with CGI, worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Fun. They might not even have to have him show up. Just deep fake him into those scenes. Yeah.
I mean, it probably, for the digital effects people, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal to replace the phone.
Yeah. This is interesting. I remember we did a story about this a while back, a couple years ago. But if you don't know, this is a big deal in movies. When you see people using phones in movies, there are a lot of rules. And one of the most hilarious ones is that Apple will not allow a villain to use an iPhone.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know what we need to do for our next low-budget thriller.
Break that rule?
Yeah.
That'd be great for a comedy movie if you didn't want to play by those rules, if you just had a toy phone. But no one in the in-universe ever acknowledged it.
Except the thing about that, Krista, is you can make tons and tons of money by not using a toy phone. And Nokia will give everybody on the set a phone.
Oh, and then you look like the asshole who's denying the crew a new phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
I guess the only thing that I can say at this point is buy GameStop.
Buy AMC.
What if it's already crashed back down to like $5 by now?
Let's get it back up there.
Yeah, hold. Yeah, we're recording this in the past as a reminder, so we don't know the future yet.
It's probably already wrecked. Let's go see.
Yeah, before we leave.
Oh yeah, it's way down. We checked when you were doing your call.
Oh, it's back up again. Looks like.
What's it at?
It's at 316, but it was lower than that earlier.
Mine's still loading.
Why are you on Reddit?
Party mega thread. Oh, they usually have the thing honor to the diamond hands.
I just googled GME.
Yeah, GME.
Shield wall.
Google. This is 15 minutes old. 317.
It looks like it's trending upward because everybody's really excited about 320.
Well, it languished at around 2:25 p.m. It's rallying back.
But that's still not as bad as it was yesterday. Yesterday, it crashed hard.
No, it closed at 197, see?
No, I mean,
yeah.
Wait, what?
That was yesterday, Thursday.
Closed at 197 yesterday.
Oh.
And then we're back up to...
But in the middle of the day, wasn't it like down around 100?
Let's see. This was the 28th. The low was 132.
Mm. That was, I think, when what's their name did their thing.
That was 11:30. Yeah, that's when everybody turned it off.
Yeah. That's a blatant market manipulation there.
Diamond fists, right? Is that the meme?
I don't know. What does that mean?
I don't know. I just see it spammed in every thread.
I haven't actually gone to Wall Street Bets.
They've got some hilarious
dangerous.
GIFs. They did the one, the Avengers end scene with Thanos. They redid that scene as a GIF, and they labeled everything, and so it was like Wall Street Bets, and then like the people show up, and then Doctor Strange is Elon Musk. So like he comes flying in as Doctor Strange. It's like that's Elon Musk coming to Wall Street Bets aids against Marvin
Thanos.
Capital,
who's Thanos.
I never.
My favorite version of that is the Pixar one where it's Finding Nemo, and it's the very end scene where he's like swim down, but instead of saying swim down, it says hold, and I'll just get out.
I never made it all the way through Endgame.
Oh yeah. Well, you should have at least watched the battle. The battle was pretty satisfying.
Yeah, maybe someday. Maybe a time when I'm just sitting at home with nothing to do.
Yeah, it was just.
When would that ever happen?
just watch it on the crapper. It won't take long.
That sounds like some blood circulation issues. If you go, what's that? A 3-hour movie?
No, I meant just the battle.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right, Krista, why don't you give us a activist investor goodbye?
emojis to the moon. Bye.